Welcome back. This is DragonLoon, and we are back in Satisfactory. I have done a little bit of work off the camera on increasing our production. I've gotten our rotor production put in place. It's not very much right now because, again, we are only working with our Mark II belts. But eventually, as we get more, I will increase the production. Right now, I think we are producing about 8 rotors per minute. I also have our modular frames. I don't believe it's the heavy modular frames yet, but our modular frames, I have those set up and being produced, and I believe with that one we are producing 6 modular frames per minute. Right now, again, because we aren't producing very much reinforced iron plates, we can't increase our modular frame production. But if you look way over here, I do already have some constructors set up to start producing our space elevator parts. Right now, we are only producing the level 1 space elevator parts, but I have a few constructors to be able to start producing our level 2 and level 3 space elevator parts. What we need to be able to start producing our level 2 space elevator parts is steel. And I haven't gotten that set up just yet, because that is what we are going to work on today. One thing that we are going to need to do is way off in the distance. If I do this, you can see that right about there is another pure coal deposit, and so we are going to excuse me, it's way over there. We are going to have to build some conveyor belts to be able to bring that over from there all the way over here to be able to produce our steel. With that, we will also need to find a few more iron nodes. I know there's a couple impure iron nodes right there, but we're going to need some more iron than that in order to be able to produce enough steel, because we're going to need steel for that, and eventually we're going to need steel for our encased steel beams, which are needed for our Mark IV. But once we have our steel production in effect, we can get our Mark III belts, which will just increase the speed and the number of items per minute that we can produce over here. Today, I think we're also going to try and finish our farming mod research to be able to start automating our farming so that we can start getting our little doggo farms. So let me go ahead and build a causeway or foundation way, whatever you want to call it, over to our coal node over there, and start bringing that back, and then we'll start see what we need to be able to start producing our steel. Be back in a moment. All right, folks. So while I was getting this highway set up for our coal and iron, which I found 2 normal iron nodes over by that pure coal node, I did discover these 2 nodes right here that are a very interesting looking node. And I thought they might have been quartz, but when I scanned, they don't pop up. So I came over and investigated, and it says element 65. So it looks like even in the early access branch, they have already implemented some nodes of a new resource. Not sure what that resource is going to be used for or even what it is, but when you try and harvest, it doesn't really harvest that well. Usually you can, but there's no information for it. So this looks kind of interesting. I can't wait to find out what it is. Anyway, let me get back to what I was doing, because I still need to put down the miners for the iron and the coal over there. Be back in just a moment. All right, folks. So I got a lot of work done. I was able to, or I decided to put the smelters. Are they smelters? Hold on. The foundries. I decided to put the foundries making the steel over here near the coal node and the iron nodes that I'm using to to power or supply the foundries anyways. Simply because I really don't have that much reinforced iron plate to be able to bring all of this all the way back, to bring both resources, I should say, all the way back to the main factory and smelt it all there. So I'm just going to smelt it here and then bring back the steel ingots that are being produced here and bring those all the way back. Although I think I might even refine them down into the steel beams here. If you think I should do it a different way, please let me know down in the comments below, as I'd love to hear your opinion. But let me check to see what is needed for steel beams. And I think that's under production in a constructor. There we go, steel beams. All right, so yes, we can do those there. But I forget if you need steel beams or steel ingots for encased industrial beams. But for now, we won't worry about that. We'll go ahead and head on back. Oh, and I did want to let you know that while I was building all of those foundries, I did reach out to the Discord community that I'm a part of, which is Total Eclipse Gaming. I will leave a link to the Discord down in the information below. But that community let me know that element 65 is actually used in one of the mods that I have, which is the refined power. It's used in the arc reactors, which are unlocked at tier 7. So we are not close to using that, but it's good to know what it's used for. So one thing that I do want to look at is what do we need to be able to get the Mark IV belts and the encased industrial beams. I believe we're going to need steel pipes at some point. We might even need those to be able to make the encased industrial beams. And I did also discover that I am not producing nearly enough iron plates to be able to have a backstock of iron plates. So we'll have to deal with that. I think that's going to mean completely redesigning this floor again. That might be fun. So let's go in here and take a look. We want... Oh yes, and the floor hole mod added some new things like this big bus, which we can stack on the ceiling, it looks like. So I might look into that. They also added in ceiling power to go through the different floors, so that you don't have to leave a hole for your power lines. They also added in pipe holes, and I think in tier 4 hypertube holes. So we might actually look into continuing to do some things with that. But for the encased industrial beams, we will need steel pipes, and all of this we have more. But that will also allow us to make stators, which will allow us to make motors, and we can also start producing heavy modular frames and space elevator part 3. That might be fun. Let's see, vehicle transport, advanced logistics. For advanced logistics, we still need Caterium, which I need to find some of that, because in the Caterium research in the MAM, it allows us to get our Blade Runners, which I desperately, desperately want. Alright, so the advanced steel production. We need encased or steel pipes. What do we need to make steel pipes? We need steel ingots. All right, so we are not going to turn the steel ingots into steel beams over there at the refineries. We will set up some production over here. But the first thing I think I'm going to do, because we are capped out on our refineries until... gosh, I really don't want to completely redesign all of this again. Just to add more iron. Well, yeah, I think we will eventually do that. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to put some foundries, or excuse me, smelters over here for more iron ingots, so that we can add some more iron plate constructors over here and bring this up to, excuse me, over here, and bring this up to producing 120 or more per minute. So give me a little bit and I'll get that set up. All right, so we got all of that set up, and our iron is already producing. These were 2 impure nodes, so I threw in a couple of power shards to increase the power to where they are producing 60 per minute. So that is a total of 120 iron per minute again. And I set up those smelters over here. And I actually set it up to where if we get any more iron from this general direction, we can just increase the belt speeds over here and then throw in some more smelters. And that will allow us to increase this here. And I just realized I forgot to drop or open up the floor to drop the iron down. All right, so I got that hooked up. I have it coming from those constructors over there all the way through and merging into this line, which will hopefully slow down the speed of this belt here. In fact, what we can do is we can change that to a Mark 1, and that will allow us to build up a backstock again, which it looks like we had been doing. Aha. So somehow we didn't have full loads of iron plates in here before, and so it was lowering that. But now that we have everything overflowed, it's now stopped. But that's okay, because we need the iron. We can always use more iron plates. One thing that we will need to do is we will need to increase the speed of these belts bringing in the screws. And in order to do that, we need our Mark 3 belts. And in order to get our Mark 3 belts, we need to bring that steel ingots over to produce steel tubes. And I think where we're going to put our steel tube production is right over there. And we'll bring it over here. Or down into the storage area down there. So, give me a few more minutes to get all of this set up. And once again, I'll bring you right back. All right, folks, so I have everything wired up and piped up and conveyored up, and here comes all of our steel ingots into our constructors to make steel pipes. Now, I just quickly have that going into just a regular storage container so that we can collect that all up and get the next milestone completed and going on that. Eventually, I will have all of this routed down below where it truly belongs, down in the storage area, but for now, this is where we're going to put it. So, one thing that I did discover was that we had enough tickets to get us our factory cart, which these things are a pain to drive, but they're also so fun to drive. So, let's go over here to our hub and see what else we can do while we are waiting for those steel pipes to be produced. We can get our big buses so that we can take a look at all of that. So I think that's exactly what we're going to do. All right, folks, so here is the big bus. It is a box, pretty much. But it's a conveyor belt that you can also stack. And it looks like it's got inventory for 6 items. Not sure. But I'm kind of curious to see how it does, how it transports the items. So let's take it over here and see if we can't replace some of these conveyors with the longer buses. All right, folks, so I did a little bit of experimenting, and these buses are pretty much storage containers. They act the same way. They have a storage capacity, and it's an instantaneous transportation 100 meters down, which is really awesome. The problem is that they only come in 100-meter increments, so they're perfect for these really long stretches, but not so good for the short stretches or for turning. But that's okay, because they help. So, we have our steel beams, steel tubes being produced. Kind of. We got to get the steel back over here because I interrupted it to put in those buses. Let's see how much we have. Oh, wow. We have plenty built up. All right. And now we have our miner Mark IIs, which is going to take that encased industrial beam that I was talking about, which we can make in our assemblers. And I think that's all that we got out of that one as far as buildings. Oh, yeah, that was all we got. But we got a lot more that we can start producing. So the next thing that I think we're going to do is go for the advanced... No, not advanced logistics. Logistics Mark III. All right, folks. So we did go ahead and get our advanced steel production, which gave us our Mark II miners. We won't do anything with that just yet because we still need our encased industrial beam production set up. But we did get some steel beam productions set up today, as well as our steel. We got the rest of our tier 2 automation up here, which consists of our rotors as well as our modular frames, heavy modular frames. And we did increase our iron plate production a little bit to where we have a little bit more being produced. I did go ahead and set up another Mark I farm to produce our potatoes, which is what we need in order to get the next set in the farming mod, which will allow us to completely automate the farming. But I think we'll call it for the day because this is probably going to be a pretty long episode. As always, if you enjoyed what you saw, please definitely leave me a like, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. If you have any recommendations or suggestions on what I might have been able to do differently this episode, please leave me a comment. I do enjoy hearing from you guys, and I do listen to suggestions. For example, down here in our screw production, somebody made a comment about how we could pull some of the screws off to be able to handle all of what we're producing, and that is exactly what I did over here. Although now that we have our Mark III belts, once I have more production up and running, I might rework this just a little bit because we'll be able to handle more. But as always, definitely leave me that like. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more of this awesome content. And until next time, stay frosty out there.